Welcome back, everyone. I'm Mitch, and this is the Final Exodus. I have for you another prophecy fulfilled flash report, and this one is in regard to Daniel 9:27. I received the understanding put forth in this video on September 25th, 2021. When I received this understanding, it was like a light bulb that went off in my mind. And it made me extremely sick for a number of days. The facts that I'm about to share with you now are still controlling my thoughts, my emotions, and my attitudes. And since I've learned all of this, it's really hard for me to concentrate on anything, especially knowing that so many people are unaware of these things. There are two biblical events that have taken place that I want you to be aware of. The first biblical event happened back in 2013 on March 20th. The second event happened exactly 7 years to the date later on March 20th, 2020. It is my belief that these two events I'm about to report to you fulfill Daniel 9:27 regarding the ruler that is to come, the little horn, the Antichrist. And it is my belief that he firmed up a covenant, and that covenant ended 7 years later. Now, before you jump to conclusions, I hope that you will hear me out to the end of this video, that you will hold these things in your heart, and that you will pray about them. Take them to the Lord. Actually, you should pray about everything that you hear from me all the time. And before we take a look at the two events that I'm about to share with you, let's take a quick look at Daniel 9:27 and review what it says. Daniel 9:27 says, "And he will make a firm covenant with the many for 1 week. But in the middle of the week, he will put a stop to sacrifice and grain offering. And on the wing of abominations will come one who makes desolate, even until a complete destruction, one that is decreed, is poured out on the one who makes desolate." Most people wrongfully believe that this verse brackets a 7-year tribulation period. This verse does not say that. To understand better, let's take a closer look at the two events. The first one dated March 20th, 2013, and the second one dated March 20th, 2020. As we do, you will begin to see that these two events are tied to Daniel 9:27. The first event, the making of a firm covenant, March 20th, 2013. Back in 2013, Barack Obama stood on the tarmac on Israeli soil and gave a speech to the Israelites that America would never abandon Israel. At that time, I wondered if his covenant strengthening language was a fulfillment of Daniel 9:27. It was then that I learned that the Hebrew word for 1 week in this verse is Hebrew Strong's Concordance 7620 Shavuah. It means 7 or 7, and can also be translated as a week or 1 week. I also learned that the root of Shavuah is Hebrew Strong's Concordance 7650 Shava, which means to seven oneself. Swear, as if by repeating a declaration 7 times. When I learned of this, I went back to Obama's recorded oath-strengthening speech and counted the number of times he confirmed the covenant. I was shocked to count exactly 7. You can see more about how Obama sevened himself in my videos that I have contained in the link below, specifically my playlist Out of the Shadows. I have also included a link to the original government video of Obama giving his speech in Israel so that you can see it for yourself. In 2013, I rested on the understanding that I had received regarding what happened in Israel on March 20th, 2013. I held these things in my heart, and I was satisfied that I had discovered a fulfillment of this verse. Little did I know that there was much more to come in relationship to the fulfillment of Daniel 9:27. So I ask you just to stay with me here yet as I continue to report what I continue to see in the years to come. Next, I would like to draw your attention to an event that happened in the middle of the 7. As we continue to look at the fulfillment of Daniel 9:27, I want to show you an event that happened on May 25th, 2017. I would like to briefly draw your attention to this event that happened exactly 50 months and 5 days after the March 20th, 2013 event. Before we review what happened, let's look at Daniel 9:27 again. It says, "And he will make a firm covenant with the many for 1 week, but in the middle of the week he will put a stop to sacrifice and grain offering, and on the wing of abominations will come one who makes desolate." Daniel 9:27 speaks of an event in the middle of a 7. The Hebrew word for middle is Strong's H2677 hetzi, which means half, middle, mid, midst, 2 parts. The root word for hetzi is Strong's H2673 hatsa, which means to cut or split in 2, to have, divide. On May 25th, 2017, in the midst of the 7, Barack Obama was the main speaker at an event in Berlin, Germany. It was not just any event, it was Kirchentag, the 500th anniversary of the Protestant Reformation. This is Germany's biggest church gathering. It took place at the Brandenburg Gate, which is a replica for the Temple of Zeus. At that time, I showed how Barack Obama took his seat at the temple of a god, displaying himself as being God, just as 2 Thessalonians 2:4 states. I also showed how he turned the ears, eyes, and hearts of tens of thousands of cheering listeners away from offering up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ, as 1 Peter 2:5 instructs us. For more on this event, see the video link below entitled "The Falling Away Has Begun." Also, here's a timeline that I've created so that you will have a visual of these unfolding events. Now, let's take a look at what happened on March 20th, 2020. The end of the covenant. We are in a live exercise. March 20th, 2020. Now we zip forward to March 20th, 2020, exactly 7 years after Obama severed himself with an oath while standing on Israeli soil. In this event that I'm about to show you, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo declared that we are in a live exercise. To understand the significance of this event and this statement, I need to back you up 7 days and show you a significant event that happened preceding it. I now turn your attention to President Trump's National Emergency Proclamation, dated March 13th, 2020. On March 13th, 2020, President Trump issued a proclamation declaring a national emergency concerning the COVID outbreak. It is very significant for a president to declare a national emergency. You see, for many years, presidents have been signing executive orders that outline how the government should function in times of a national emergency. So, whether President Trump knew it or not, this emergency proclamation set up a change in the power of the American president and the American Constitution and prepared the way for FEMA to take control of the United States. Now let's get back to Mike Pompeo's live exercise proclamation dated March 20th, 2020. 7 days after President Trump's national emergency declaration on exactly March 20th, 2020, exactly 7 years after Obama confirmed the covenant with Israel, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, the 70th U.S. Secretary of State, announced to President Trump's surprise that we are in a live exercise. As he made this pronouncement at a coronavirus task force briefing, President Trump, still on mic, turned to him and said, "You should have told us." Trump then repeated himself a second time, saying, "You should have told us." What did the proclamation regarding a live exercise mean? To understand, it is important to realize that all the executive orders pertaining to a national emergency signed by Trump and previous presidents result in the setting aside of the power of the president, the Constitution, and Congress. It means that FEMA is now running the government of the United States of America. It means that there is a change of power so that the decisions are now being made by FEMA. To be clear, the declaration of a live exercise in a state of national emergency transfers the power of all U.S. sectors over to FEMA. In order to help you with the significance of this, here is a list of some of the executive orders that go into play in a state of emergency. These executive orders were signed by a number of presidents over the years. Executive Order 10990 gives FEMA the power to take over all transportation. Executive Order 10995 gives FEMA the takeover power of the communication media. Executive Order 10997 gives FEMA the power to take over all electric, gas, petroleum, fuels, and other minerals. Executive Order 10998 gives FEMA the power to take over all food resources, including farms. Executive Order 11000 gives FEMA the ability to mobilize citizens into work brigades. Executive Order 11001 gives FEMA the power to take over all health education and welfare. Executive Order 11002 designates the Postmaster General to operate a national registration of all persons. Executive Order 11003 gives FEMA the power to take over all airports and aircrafts. Executive Order 11004 gives FEMA the power to take over and to establish new locations for populations. Executive Order 11005 gives FEMA the power to take over railroads, waterways, and storage facilities. The Justice Department in the United States of America knows this. Executive Order 11301 states that the Department of Justice has the authority to enforce the plans of the emergency executive orders, to institute industrial support, establish judicial and legislative liaisons, to control all aliens, to operate penal and correction institutions. The Department of Justice has their hands tied so that they are no longer able to rule in favor of the freedom of the citizens of the United States of America. Their rule reflects that they are under emergency orders and a FEMA-run government. Here are some final reflections. In regard to the proclamation Obama made, which strengthened the covenant between America and Israel, that is now nullified as of March 20th, 2020, when America went live with this COVID exercise. The American government no longer has the power to back this covenant. America is now being assimilated into the global government through this New World Order exercise. We are months away from a global currency and the end of all national sovereignty. That is why the strengthening of the covenant was only for 7 years. Now, as I sign off here, don't forget to check out the links below. I think you really need to watch the executive orders of Trump, what they were all about, FEMA and its power. Make sure you check out that video. The maker of that video did a great job. This helped me a lot. Also check out the others. But if you like this format, give me a thumbs up and let me know. It's a little bit different than I normally do, and I'm thinking it's an improvement, but let me know what you think. Also, don't forget to send this video to everybody you know and pray about it before you do. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Other than that, that's about all I have until I see you again next time. God bless you guys. I'm praying for you.